Hello and welcome to another update call, dear Socialswap community. Update call 113 today. I have support today, logically from Dr. Dennis but also from Daniel. Dennis, please be so good. Start with lucky hands. Then we'll look at lucky hash.
Give me one more minute, my browser just hung. I have to start again.
Stay until the end of the call. We thought about doing a Q&A. So if you have any questions for the co-creators, please write them down and then at the end of the call you can ask them live in the chat and we will then answer them live. Dennis, do you think you're ready?
I'm ready. So, we had 41 comments. We pull it and 1000 SSD go out today to Jorg Rockamau with the obligatory SSD rocket. Congratulations to you, 1000 SSD going out.
Very good, but with that in mind, I'd say I'll start with the screencast. Because Dennis, let's start real quick. We've talked about it before anyway. The first quarter of 2023 was very positive. What is still happening on the market? We were in the red today. Maybe a little update from the expert.
Yes, what was really going on today? Why it went down? That is not so clear, I would say. Some are speculating that the US government has again dumped some of its BTC and crypto holdings. Could be. I think that will come to light now, if that's the case, then anyway. But hey, we had a really good wall, but this resistance in Bitcoin, it's pretty tough, I would say. We're at around 30,500, it's really hard to get over that. We've tried that several times now, we've been to 31 once, but I think if we break that hurdle we can go up relatively quickly. The question is, will there be setbacks again before that? And for me it is very clear at the moment in this current phase, every dip is an opportunity for me to simply expand my coins again. Because in the bull market it is always the case, at the dip. And that's something that probably, if we look back in a year and a half or two, you'd probably wish you'd gotten Bitcoin under 30,000, got Ethereum under 2,000. I remember when you bought ETH under $1,000, that was a very good move. Buying into this tip was of course also a risk. Everyone was afraid it falls even deeper. But we have also seen a lot of individual coins in the last few days, rather small coins that have done relatively well, which you don't really hear much about. But if we look at the many greed indexes, we're at 63 at the moment, so greed. Yes, the greed is then such a setback is not bad at all. So with this price drop today, hundreds of millions of dollars have really been liquidated again. I suspect just too many people were over-indebted, had too many longs open, just too much leverage. And that is of course for the market maker and exchange always a nice chance to collect a bit of money, and apart from these setbacks, everything is very relaxed and up to date. I think that we have a good chance of getting cheap coins again, and that the next few months will be extremely exciting.
Very good, that was a precious update. But now let's move on to Socialswap because we have some updates related to Socialswap as well. Draw 3 is over and there was also a valuable update today. I think the update is already live now because from now on, Draw 4, with a jackpot of $45,000, a new feature is unlocked. But let's take a quick look at drawing number 3 together. Daniel, before we go to the new feature, please carry yourself to the screen for a moment.
Already feel like the lottery man who presents the new numbers every week. Namely, we have draw 4, the winning numbers 4, 1, 2, 9, 2 and 2. What do we have this week? We have a 3, Mary, and I don't see a 2 right now. Brilliant. Wow, $126 for the first 3. The jackpot grows week by week. And that's just the non-injection part, without the extra SSD that we obviously threw in for the big tickets, as we can see below.
Very good. Daniel, valuable update. First of all, as far as marketing is concerned, I said, now that this feature is live and it is live as of today, I will also exchange some coins in Tron, and then every week because I'm currently earning relatively well in another protocol have the opportunity to buy tickets not only in SSD because what has been determined so far has brought a lot of momentum into the blockchain, thousands of transactions into the blockchain, which also shows with DApp Radar, where we have come to a much higher position. Well, that has already been successful and fewer SSD were sold. Still, as you know, we also want to advertise on Tron Scan, on a page that has 30 million views per month and from 5 million users, people who use Tron, because otherwise you probably won't go to Tron Scan, that you can advertise directly there and say winner lottery jackpot from SSD worth $50,000. Then you come to our website and can then not only buy the ticket with SSD but also with Tron.
Exactly. We finally have the new feature live. I think we'll talk about that today. In addition, a new landing page will be built, etc. pp. But that's still in the planning stage. It's relatively easy to explain. You want to buy a ticket, then choose how many you want. Just want to buy a ticket now and then I have the choice of buying it with SSD or with Tron. This function is of course a bomb for people who are not yet an SSD. But of course there are many more Tron holders than SSD holders in the world. That means, of course, it opens up a whole new market. And we just do it. We have here, if you go over it with the mouse, the notification. There is a transaction in between, so you have to do multiple confirmations like that. Therefore, it takes about a minute until the final credit. Depending on how fast the blockchain is. Just don't click away during this time, just let it load. So it's not a mistake that it's loading for so long, it's in the background when it's still processing the TRX and SSD, and with the next transaction, the tickets are basically bought.
So maybe while the wheels are turning, I would do a little overlay. Swap in progress or wait for next pop-up. Kind of a hint that people won't click away now.
Of course, we will improve the customer feedback at the point where we explain step by step what is happening in the background.
And the cool thing is that if someone here buys these tickets with Tron, the swap works. Because then you buy SSD and the affiliate gets SSD commission directly into their wallet. We now see the pop-up. Right, goes through. I think it's cool. I can see it in my account too. The people in my team have also bought tickets and the SSD goes straight to my wallet. I also use this SSD to buy more lottery tickets.
Since the transaction was successful and then, if everything goes right, we have to reload the page.
It always takes a moment for the tickets to appear.
Exactly, it takes a little while for the tickets to appear. Now, of course, you can see here, exactly, so much about it.
Daniel, let's talk about the price, because when someone buys a ticket with SSD, the price doesn't hurt. It can be compared in part with an extension of farming, i.e., with a farming pod, but also in part with a token burn. How would you describe it now if someone actually buys a ticket with Tron? What happens to the SSD course then?
A Tron, if someone buys a ticket with Tron, and that's right now the target audience we want to target is that aren't an SSD yet. Every ticket purchased with Tron, these Tron used for ticket purchase are directly converted into SSD. This means that every ticket purchase is immediately a purchase of SSD. That means it always benefits the price, of course.
So to put it simply, I hope, correct me if I'm not that crazy, but I hope you got that right. If someone buys a ticket with Tron now, they actually buy our token for the equivalent of 1,000 SSD. So he buys 1,000 pieces of our token.
To put it very simply, it is when we pass a swap in the background, where the Tron simply go into the contract and the SSD does not go to the wallet, but directly to the lottery.
Mega, so really 10 out of 10. I'm super thankful for this update. I'm excited to see what's going to happen in Parenting 4. I too will buy tickets every day, really every day. I will also document this when I buy tickets myself. First off, it directly impacts the SSD price, which I think is phenomenal. Secondly, like Dennis, I want to participate in the jackpot and win the jackpot. Dennis, but I'll buy more tickets than you, so a little public declaration of war. And of course, it's just possible, this idea that we had for a long time, we'll do the advertising on BSC Scan for the time being and then on Tron Scan. Simply really directly address users who may not have an SSD. Because I see it as somewhat unrealistic, so not completely unrealistic, but I see it as a bit complicated if someone has to buy SSD first and then can only buy a ticket, but has the Tron on their wallet, otherwise is he not scanning for fun on Tron? He has made at least one USD tethered TRC20 transaction, so yes, he can get to Tron quickly and then buy a ticket right away. $5 for a chance at $50,000 is pretty epic. So I'm super optimistic about this new feature. I can just imagine if the last 1,000 tickets that we had sold in SSD, for example, if we had sold those in Tron, that there would have been a direct price impact, obviously. So I'm super optimistic. The third draw is over. This new feature is live. I'll use it myself or tomorrow at the latest and then buy tickets really regularly. So congratulations again to all the people who have now won the SSD purchase. But it is now also possible to buy tickets with Tron, which makes me very happy. Not to forget still a Bitcoin in the checkpoint, a million in the checkpoint or 6 right, just as equal, but also 5 right and 4 right, 500,000 SSD on top of that, on top of everything that's coming in over the next few weeks and months. Pretty phenomenal. Such an important update to Core, dear friends. I think I will have a meeting with Michael this week. The person who sees here on the left in the picture is Michael Lubscher, the chairman of ERAX and the chairman of Core Decentralized Technologies. He wants to meet me and he sounded very optimistic. I said that to the community on Telegram Live on Monday. It was an incredibly positive conversation. Really, Dennis, maybe you can give your opinion on that very briefly. You explained it very well on Monday that he made a very calm impression. We also officially invited them to our event in just under 80 days, something like that, on Monday, the Electric Love Festival, where they were last year, where the community really put Core to the test around the technology. Let's see if they can accept the invite if they're not in the launch stress. But they prefer to be in the launch stress. It doesn't matter. I won't comment on that now, but the point is, friends have officially invited themselves. Dennis, you were also on the call. How did you perceive the phone call? Because a lot of people ask about the vibes at Core.
Well, I only know Michael under stress, under pressure, really super busy. Because they really have a lot to do with all the Core implementations. And that was the first time I saw him really relatively relaxed, when he really sounded confident and came up to you and said, "Hey, let's sit down together, I have cool news," and so on. So I was extremely surprised that he was so open and so calm and relaxed for the first time. And if you now also read the Telegram group from Core, it's probably going to the final test of Ping Morting. I don't know exactly what it was there, I just saw it briefly. So it really seems to be going into the final test phase now, and I'm extremely excited to see when things will really start here. But of course it's clear, yes, you should never forget that software is not an easy business. We ourselves are familiar with the blockchain. Daniel can sing a song about that. You get a timeline and afterwards you find something. You have to rethink everything. And Core isn't launching just any central product. They are launching a completely decentralized story. The thing has to work perfectly right from the start. And that's natural, it all has to be well thought out. This decentralized identity is something that could become extremely exciting for the future. There simply shouldn't be any mistakes creeping in with something like that. That's why I'm relatively relaxed about the whole thing. But when it comes to a start, then we have a new technology here that is actually for the next bull run and could be extremely well positioned. And yes, as I said, I'm extremely excited about the bull run, also with Core.
Very good. Let's move on to the next topic, and that is a use case that we actually wanted to launch in Q4 2023. We're going to put this forward now. I also had a super valuable meeting yesterday with Harry and with Alex, i.e. with Harry Halsinger and Alexander Hake, long-standing and valuable partners here in the project. We will present this new use case no later than 30 days before Electric Love or directly at the Electric Love event, and will launch and implement it shortly afterwards. I brought it up though. It's also something we've had on the radar for a while, but just feel like now is a good time. The mood on the market is good. The first quarter was phenomenal. Our programming team is now finished with the promoter back office and can start programming this new use case. It's super realistic that we'll have finished programming that in the next 50 or so days, have finished programming for 45 to 50 days and can then present it to the community. Unless we're waiting for a better time, then it's really Electric Love because we can do that. But briefly underlined and probably noticed again, Daniel Scholarer, a very valuable partner in the project, is also significantly involved here, so that we can implement it quickly, earlier than expected. It's actually something we didn't want to do until the end of the year, but are now doing it earlier. So moving on to the next point, and that's the more aware community have seen that the front page is live, so we've put a completely new updated design online for the front page now. Just check it out for yourself. I want to do a bit of Q&A, but with this news it's official, the front page has been updated. It is also important that a lot has happened in the promoter back office this week. All sales from Promoter Run 1 have been updated and added to Promoter Run number 2. Next week, the first certificates and boxes and everything that goes with them will also be awarded to the qualified members, who can be rewarded in these ranks, and it will be sent out. So right now, when the sales have flowed together, a lot of people have reached the top ranks. Not to forget, my private Rolex is still 6th place at level 6. That's $100,000 in sales included. So don't forget that. And since this week, the sale of lottery tickets has also been included in the promoter back office. And we're super happy with the numbers from the lottery ticket sale. It just looked like a bomb, and I think that now with the Tron function it will just be a lot more exciting. And yes, I would like to buy a lot of tickets. I already have them myself emphasized several times. This should also fill the jackpots and bring more transactions and bring the price up. So it's great what has happened here in the promoter back office over the last 3 days. The promoters have already seen it. Content has been filmed or updated around sales, training, motivation, and presentation. So feel free to have a look here in the video area, from the training academy to the promoters. A few things have been updated here too. So okay, if you aren't already a promoter, please check out the promotions back office. But, dear community, if there is another question, you now have the opportunity to ask the co-creators these questions. Just write them in the chat. You know, we generally try not to stay live for more than half an hour. And so we'll see what questions people have. Dennis, would you like to read one of the next questions?
Yes, question 1 from Daniel. What's new about the credit card and listing of new exchanges?
So we decided against a credit card because it is simply too expensive, and because we also think that it could simply cause a few problems from the point of view of the Financial Market Supervisory Authority. In any case, we would still have a solution from Mountain Wolf, for example, or from other partners. We have now, I would say, strategically focused on other use cases because we simply do not believe that this credit card is in extremely high use. For example, I can tell you anyway, the credit card programming would have for the decentralized solution cost over $100,000. I simply don't see any return on investment in the current market situation and also in the current mood in the community. That's why we put it there. And listing of the exchange, we are still in contact with an exchange regarding the Asian region, a central exchange. But I'm sticking with it when you see 99% of the sales are on the decentralized exchange on our website and maybe 1%, if at all, on Probit. Well, purely for marketing reasons, that wouldn't happen, because someone wrote to me today, what about marketing around central listings? I don't see any marketing value there. I don't see it as a marketing tool, quite the opposite. I see it simply as an internationalization tool, and that's kind of my opinion as far as that's concerned. Insofar as we do not gain importance in the Asian region, for example, I do not see it as a relevant use case to be on another central exchange list.
So then Keith asks, how about the personal bet? The Sauerland also wants to know that.
I'm meeting my lawyer on Friday and I'll talk to him about it again. Friday for lunch to be exact. Well, I think I can maybe write you an update in the Telegram group after Friday, or just give you an update in the next update call. But I can explain to you very briefly in about a minute how that would have been planned. So I'm looking for 3 prizes that I'm convinced we can still achieve this year. If these prices are reached by the end of the year, then the money will belong to SSD, so to speak, or I will hold some of the money if it is my private money. Or just then it will simply go to the person who made the bet with me, or the money will flow. Theoretically, we both then pay into one account, like a trust account, and then this money is left lying around and then simply looked at, if the bet is reached, if the price is reached, for example, for more than 3 days or 5 days, that you have to contractually tighten it. Yes, you have to define it somehow, I wanted to say. Then the money will be paid out, and so to speak, then the community will have this price anyway, which I bet. But remember, it was always an idea to say it's better than making a price target to just bet on it and not just put your money where your mouth is basically. So that you just say, that you just don't just say, I hope the prices will follow and I bet the prices will follow.
One question, when will the promo theme impact the course?
Friends, we can only contribute to the prize what we can contribute to the prize. At the end of the day, me and Dennis' hands are tied. You mustn't forget that. We can nuance everything. The programming, the marketing, everything that goes with it. But when the community sells against us, the community sells against us. You can just do whatever you want there. It is and will remain a community project at the end of the day. I see it at the promotion. But I also see it because on Monday, for example, someone dumped 1.8 million SSD. Yes, it is and will remain a community project. No matter how active we are, no matter how creative we are, no matter what the market is doing. If more people are selling than buying, the price will fall. Just as a year ago as an example of how the price has risen immeasurably. It wasn't Dennis and I either, who did a particularly good job here in this phase, but our ideas, including the ideas from the community and everything was simply well received by the community and the community pushed the price up. So we can only initiate everything. We promised you that we will give everything you can give here for 5 years. But at the end of the day it is and will always be a community project. We can't say when anything will affect the price. But what I can say very well is that I want to buy lottery tickets for several tens of thousands of dollars in the near future and am very optimistic about this Tron use case on the lottery or lucky hash. It just makes sense that that would directly impact the price. Let's stop the Q&As please, Christian, because then we'll be at 8:30 p.m.
Michael asks, what are the planning strategies to go deeper into the Asian market, also in terms of the language barriers, but more in terms of the strategies?
First of all, to find community managers there. Community managers have made a difference with us. We saw that too. We've had insane. Well, if you look at the core sell list or buy list, you see a lot of names there that we can't pronounce, for example. It has to do with the fact that we had a lot of Japanese communities that were interested in our website and the core token, for example. So what's the start? The entry would be a community manager, for example. But Tron is also generally widespread in Asia, which is another entry point. But also the translation of the website and much more. So that's basically the strategy. But at the end of the day, it actually opens up the community. We will do everything we can to ensure that it is open. And we would have liked this exchange very much. That would have been very exciting in terms of the price, in terms of everything, including the frequency of Asian visitors to the fair. So we're still sticking with it.
Yes, so, then Michael asks, I think that Tron has to pick up first, so that SSD can also visibly gain momentum. What is Tron currently failing about? What do you think? Let me start briefly on the subject of Tron. Yes, as far as the image is concerned, unfortunately not the people's favorite coin in the crypto market, I would say. Of course, Justin Sun has a lawsuit to deal with, as does Binance and many others. And that never really caught on in the West. Tron is the biggest use case is the stablecoin Tether Current. That's the way it is. The total lock value with Tron is also extremely high, but beyond that, many people haven't really gotten the Tron, even though it's a really cool coin once you've used it. I'm now of the opinion that the USA will have less and less influence on crypto with all the regulations that they are pushing through and complaining about. More and more companies will probably turn away from the USA and Europe and go towards Asia. Hong Kong today officially declared that cryptos will be recognized as property. So it's now officially recognized in Hong Kong. It has an official status. In the US nobody knows what's going on. Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC, has now been questioned and he couldn't provide an answer to the question, is ETH a security? Is ETH security or commodity? He couldn't. He just didn't answer that question. And this ambiguity also means that many people simply think, yes, maybe it would be smarter to go somewhere else. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong also said that if these regulatory ambiguities persist, we will consider withdrawing from the US as well. I think that's a trend that will continue anyway, unless the USA makes a radical about-face, but I don't see it at the moment, and that's why I think Tron has a lot of good chances in Asia and Justin Sun in the next run has already been ringing. It was a few weeks ago that Tron might become a legal tender in a larger country. Unfortunately, there were no updates about it. But at the end of the day, a lot of people still hang on to Justin Sun at the very front of Tron, of course, even though he's actually not that much to do with it anymore. This is a relatively decentralized project with 29 or 27 supernodes running there. Ultimately, I think this move towards Hong Kong and the Asian market could definitely be good for Tron. And if Tron picks up, of course, then SSD pulls with it. Yes, just as when Core picks up and Core SSD is launched, we also benefit from it. Of course, we are involved in this blockchain and I think that sooner or later it will hopefully pay off. Yes, no question, but ultimately we have little influence on it.
That's absolutely correct. We don't really rely on it that much, but of course you have to say that it was always super pleasant. If so, Tron went up, we went up automatically. Let's also talk about an SSD price of 31 or 32 cents. A Tron was also worth 15 or 16 cents. So what I just want to say is that it was incredibly exciting and easy to climb. If Tron had risen in general, that would still be how he just described it correctly. If the core goes up, if it also goes up, SSD automatically goes up as well. You will notice that again in the next use case, which we can present to you in about 50 days, shortly before Electric Love or an Electric Love.
So you say shortly before Electric Love? I'm already advocating that we present it at the festival or at our workshop, because we'll probably offer a workshop again this time. But hey, let's wait and see. Last question, Forest Woman.
One comment about Tron and then we'll let it be. But as we started, Tron has well over 100 billion supply. Now we're at 90 billion supply. We still have the importance. We are top 10 DApp, still number 3 on the Tron blockchain in the exchanges. So that's incredibly exciting. So when Tron fires, we fire automatically. So let's still assume that's the case. Dennis, do you still believe in dollars per Tron?
Absolutely. Well, I think Tron has everything, especially if it continues to be accepted in Asia, and I just forgot to mention that. In Russia, they are now going so far that they have also introduced a law, a draft law so to speak, to officially use crypto for international settlements. You just noticed that the whole world is moving away from this dollar standard, more and more into its own currency, more and more towards crypto. And the thing is, yes, Tether is the #1 use case on Tron and sooner or later more and more Tron will be burnt. You said it, the supply is getting smaller and smaller and then the coin can shoot up really fast at some point. So I firmly believe that there is a high probability here. Very good. Last question from Waltrout. When will the new marketing funnel be available?
So as of today, a Lucky Hash landings page or funnel is simply being worked on. Yes, you can then make it available to the whole community. Don't forget, the promoter back office is actually like a new funnel too. And what else do I have to say? I was just about to say a third funnel thing. Yes, one of our top affiliates will also have his landing page again, who has gained well over 300 partners at SSD. We have been in contact with him again since last week. He's going to update his landing page around lock pools and Lucky Hash, and maybe I can get him to do this funnel to shareable, i.e. that everyone can enter their wallet and everyone can carry this link. Then I think we have enough marketing material for the community. In this sense, dear community, what a cool update call. Many thanks for your attention. You can see that a lot is happening. You can see we're all in and I'm happy about that, too, because I keep getting very positive messages on Telegram. Nevertheless, we are not satisfied with the price either, but as you can see, we give everything and have some good ideas. I think one or the other idea will really take off this year. So on that note, dear friends, 1,000 thanks for your attention in the update call 113 and see you next time.